Hi, this is Chad. I'm going to be doing a quick demo of this drawing assignment where you're drawing this lined fabric, and you'll be drawing it on newsprint. And I printed this out. You don't have to at all. You can draw it off your monitor. What I did is I measured half of my width and took my ruler and just separated my page, because you're going to be doing, this is just a half assignment. You're going to be drawing this on half a page as well. Okay, so a few things I'm looking to do first here is I am kind of looking at my halfway points, okay, because that's easy to figure out. So for me, so where's halfway on this page? It's about here, and I can measure that with a pencil, here to here, and then here to here. So I'm pretty darn close. And halfway on this side is approximately here, and I'll verify that. They're there, and they're there. Nope, I'm a little off. So I think it's more like here. And I'm going to use a kneaded eraser, which I've taken and just stretched out like this a lot. They come in little blocks, and so you just get it, pull a piece off, and you can stretch it. You can do any size. I mean, it doesn't have to, you don't have to use the whole block. You could use just a little bit. And the nice thing I like about these is you can change the point on them, or you can keep it as a ball. But I think that's more the size that I need right there. So yeah, that's a lot better. Okay, and then I'm going to put some halfway marks here and halfway marks about there. So now what I've done essentially is, like if I were this happens to be about the same size, but if I'm transferring it to something smaller, say this big, or something larger, say like my entire page, what I could do is, if I know where my halfway marks are, I can go find the halfway with a real light mark on my page, and then that will help me in evaluating this image. So you can see there's a crease right here, okay, and it happens to correspond with this halfway mark. So I also can go on my page and mark where halfway marks are and where quarter-way marks are. And then I could even do it this way as well. So I usually wouldn't mark it on the page, but I'm going to do it this time just so I can show you it's possible to do. Okay, and maybe you don't see that well, maybe it shows up, but regardless, this is the center of my page and of my drawing. So right about here. And so notice a few things, I guess. Notice that, notice this shape, how it starts at this halfway, it comes up a hair and drops down, and it's right beneath this mark. Then where does this end up? Well, it's actually, here's halfway, between halfway, so a quarter of the way, and here's an eighth of the way. So there's a big vertical line right there in my drawing. So here's half, here's quarter, here's eighth, and then here's that line right here. And it comes over before it gets to this halfway. Now notice how I'm holding it. I'm holding this pencil like this over the hand rather than like a drawing, like a writing instrument. I'm holding it this way. Why? I find that you can, well, this is how you hold a drawing instrument, first of all. But second is thing is that you can control it a lot better. Here, it's, see how the point is like, and even if that point wears down, it's still a point pushing on it. Where this way, I could use a point, or I could use it, make a softer mark. Okay, harsh mark, softer mark, and it's easy to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to continue and notice here's my kind of where that quarter mark is, about right here. So I'm going to kind of put a little mark on there and then go up just like this does. And we're not going to be shading on this drawing, just so you know, no shading. So it is going to be much more of a line drawing. So then I can kind of evaluate how far does this go up. Well, here's my quarter mark right here. So this straight line goes up just before the quarter mark, and then here's the 8th mark. And maybe it might be a little bit hard to see, but that's kind of where that little crease is. So we can kind of work on, so here's my half, here's my quarter, and just kind of mapping this out a little bit. Feels like I should have gone over a bit more here. And we're just getting generalities right now. There is a nice little line coming this direction, so I'm really looking at this angle here. It's actually kind of good. If it's hard to get the angle down, it's good to hold up your pencil to kind of understand what angle that is, and then you could transfer it down. So it's easier when you're standing up looking at something and then transferring it to your drawing if it's upright, but it is possible to do while it's laying down on a table or something. Yeah, ideally you would want to do this standing up with an easel, but we kind of do what we got to do here. All right, so then there's an extra little piece of material down here, which you can see at this point. I'm noticing a few other marks that I can make that kind of help define what's happening. And I'm noticing this is a little bit bigger than this, so I'm taking this distance and just doing it a little bit smaller. And then, not a little bit further than halfway, there's a little curve going on here, so something like this. Okay. So far we're kind of mapping this out. Then down here, I'm remembering that this is the center. And so it's okay especially if you have, this is called a reference. This is called photo reference that we're looking at here. It's a photo of what we're referring to when we're drawing. That's why the term photo reference. So, and it's okay to draw on it and kind of map out where things should take place. So right in here somewhere, and I'm looking at these angles and trying to transfer them really best I can onto my drawing. And again, if these angles are not working out for you, in fact, I would encourage, if this is your first time drawing, really kind of take a measurement of that angle and then come down and make that mark. Notice there's another line coming right here. It's kind of a nice, it's a stronger line, so that's what I'm trying to get down on this initial drawing very lightly. And notice that all of these can be erased very, very easily because I'm using a 2B pencil, by the way, on this. So I'm noticing that's about halfway or a quarter of the way over, which is in this area. Okay, so I'm kind of mapped out at this point. You know, there's a little area down here that needs to be filled in. So here's my general map of this. I mean, I can put in this this nice curve going on. Okay, so now that we have something happening here, what I'll probably do is I would like to lighten things up. So notice noticed how thick this line is and how scratchy these are. And I'm trying to, I guess what the idea is I'm trying to look for that angle. I'm playing with my line until I get something that's about right. And I'm making multiple marks to go, oh, it's there, no, it's slightly there, no, it's right there. And then pretty soon it's almost like the middle mark is going to be the one I'm landing on, the one I'm searching for. Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of lighten things up, make it a little bit simpler through here to look at, just with this kneaded eraser. And this it comes off, and that's what's so wonderful about this newsprint, is it just comes off so easily. It's like, honestly, that's why we work on it, is because it has a feel of oil paint, because it just comes on and off and moves, and it's very, very fluid. Okay, well, what our next little trick here is is to start adding these lines in. And now remember, one more time, we are not shading. We're not shading, we're not shading. So I'm going to try to get rid of things that look like it may be shading. And this doesn't have to be I'm not looking for a super technical drawing, but it should be a line drawing instead of a shaded drawing, like values and shadow, right? So I might switch over to holding it like this. I might not. I'm gonna try not to and see where that takes me. So here's the center of my piece right here, and here's the center of it, and I see my line goes off at this direction. Now, if I'm really, really careful looking at this, the line it turns into, so this is a roll basically right here, right? So this line turns into that roll, flattens out, and then turns out of it. And all of these vary a little bit of how they do that. So you can see this stripe turns in just a bit, and this one turns out, it like has a curve to it. This one has a curve, but it doesn't vanish. It actually gets narrower and then extends. So we have a lot of lines that we need to play with here. So I'll just kind of start with one. And I may switch over to this more writing style of holding the pencil. Now, if I'm looking close, and let me see if you can, oops, I really kicked that. You can see there are, it's fabric, so you're seeing little white dots. I'm not asking you to draw those dots, okay? In fact, I'd rather you not. So there's the, here's one of the stripes, and here's my next stripe. Now these stripes are going to vary a little bit because as the stripe turns away from you, or as the fabric turns away from you, the stripe is going to look narrower. And you do have a little more time to work on this one, as you guys realized on your the due dates. Now here I got a little quite too close, so I'm going to just go ahead and erase that. Start over. So I'm hoping this helps to kind of express what I'm after. Now I'm looking at this line here. There's basically two lines to each stripe. One is on the right, or on, like, here's one side, here's one line, and here's the other line, and they're not parallel. Just rarely are they parallel, because the cloth folds in and out, so they're not maintaining an equal distance. You can see how this one comes down and then up, and this one doesn't come in as much, and so we get a little bit narrow area in between. So I might just continue this stripe all the way up. Notice what's happening right here is this fabric is turned over, making the behind the part vanish, and then these we can see the entire stripe. It just bends. Here it vanishes and jumps over. Here it vanishes. Here it vanishes. So trying to show that. So hopefully you're understanding what I'm after. We're just drawing this whole thing. Now the question is, do I darken these in? I think that's a question for me. And I'm just trying to explore that here. Well, we don't want to do light and shadow, but can these stripes all be the same value, like light and darkness? I'd rather you not. I actually think it'd be a little bit easier to draw, making these dark, but I do not want like the lighter lines and darker lines, because we're getting into light and shadow and we're just not going to be doing that yet. So if you wanted to make them all one value like this, just so it's a solid value, that's okay. You're very welcome to do that. Yeah, and that might be more interesting. And also, you know, actually makes me feel as I'm doing this, like this piece is getting done, because it does get confusing with all these lines. So with like a line on both sides. So I really don't mind if you darken these in. In fact, that's fine. Remember, you're going to be doing 3 of these drawings, 3 half pages. So you will need to dedicate a good amount of time to this, because this is not a quick process. And you're doing different drawings. So one of this, or whatever. I gave you 3 on there, so draw each one. Don't do one of them 3 times, please. Okay, one of each. But yeah, this is what we're after. And what we're looking for is to kind of have this get a 3-dimensional quality, really similar to what we did with the cross contour drawings. So that's what we're after here. Okay. Reach out to me if you have any questions. You have my email. We can schedule a drop by if you want. I think it'll get really fun when you start showing, you know, how the stripes help describe how that material wraps around. Yeah, because this, I mean, it really does help describe what's happening physically, how this is laying, and there's great application to this, because You can also show this in a this type of idea in your drawings moving forward. How things wrap to help describe a surface. And notice I have, this one's really interesting because it's wide, it goes narrow, it goes wide again. And then it kind of does this type of thing. So it's kind of a fun process. It'll, you know, go ahead and get in the groove of it, get lost a little bit in it. And I didn't do that absolutely right. So I'm going to stop on that mistake. All right, so good job. Hopefully this explains it. Let me know if it doesn't, and I can give you some more instruction. Thanks, everyone.